Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into what I like to call the ultimate dual architecture strategy for mastering organizational AI intelligence and process governance. Look, if you're dealing with enterprise data or operations right now, you already know that AI is changing literally everything. But deploying it safely and actually making it effective, well, that's an entirely different story. So, let's unpack this incredible framework created by process expert John Kachak. So here's the massive dilemma keeping enterprise leaders up at night. We all know AI is incredibly powerful, right? It can process mountains of data and spit out profound insights in just seconds. But we have to figure out how to ground it in reality and, honestly, just as importantly, strictly govern its actions. Because think about it, an AI system that knows absolutely everything but follows zero rules, that's not an asset. That is a massive organizational risk. Process framework expert John Kachak actually hit the nail on the head with this. He maps out two perfectly complementary halves of what we can think of as the organizational AI brain. The knowledge graph maps the world, giving the AI its factual grounding. Meanwhile, the IPE Pack, which stands for Integrated Process Excellence, provides the operational playbook. It tells the AI, and the humans working alongside it, exactly what to do, who owns the process, and how we know if it's actually working.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the AI Governance Challenge. Second, Knowledge Graphs and Mapping Reality. Third, IP Packs for Governing Action. Fourth, A Tale of Two Architectures. And finally, the Ultimate AI Partnership. Let's get into it.
All right, part one, the AI Governance Challenge. It's time to move beyond the hype and talk about responsible AI deployment.
Everyone wants a concrete return on investment from AI right now. But as these platforms mature at lightning speed, organizations are hitting a serious wall. First off, standard retrieval systems and unstructured data just find keywords. They don't give AI the grounded, factual context it actually needs, which leads straight to those infamous AI hallucinations and totally limits true inferential reasoning. But the second, and I'd argue way more dangerous problem, is that ungoverned AI action introduces completely unquantified risk. If an AI acts without a defined process, accountability, or measurement, you aren't just taking a risk, you're flying completely blind.
To solve the first half of this equation, we turn to part two, knowledge graphs. This is what we call the knowing brain, mapping out reality.
Now, a knowledge graph is definitely not your grandfather's database of rows and columns. Think of it more like a dynamic, three-dimensional map, kind of like a highly advanced GPS of your organization's reality, you know? It's a structured database that organizes information as a network. It understands exactly what discrete, real-world entities are, and crucially, how they logically connect to one another. It basically gives AI the context to perform true reasoning, rather than just pulling up matching keywords.
It's built on a few really cool structural layers. You've got nodes. These are your discrete things, like a person, a place, or a product. Then, edges, which define the directional relationships connecting them, like reports to or manufacturers, and you have labels, providing the semantic meaning. But the real magic? That happens in the triplets. A knowledge graph stores facts in a subject-predicate-object architecture. For example, Marie Curie is the subject, was born in is the predicate, and Poland is the object. Simple, right? But by organizing data into these triplets, it breaks down silos and creates a massive semantic web, entirely preventing AI hallucinations, because the AI is pulling from a deeply grounded map of facts.
But hey, just having a map of facts isn't enough. An AI also needs strict rules of the road. Enter part three, IP Packs, or the doing brain, which governs action.
If the knowledge graph is all about what we know, the IPE Pack is all about what we absolutely must do. An IPE Pack is the deployment unit of the Integrated Process Excellence Framework. It's a highly structured AI-compatible documentation system that captures a specific process. It establishes human-owned accountability, sets up causal measurement definitions, and embeds continuous improvement mechanisms. Without this piece, your AI might have all the knowledge in the world, but it has zero operational governance.
And just to be clear, an IPE Pack isn't some static PDF sitting on a shared drive. It's systematically built. Rooted originally in Roger Slater's work from the 90s and leveled up specifically for the AI era by John Kachak, it follows these 6 dynamic steps. You start by creating a positive environment. Then you rigorously define and document the process down to its specific elements. You communicate it, and you really have to pay special attention to steps 5 and 6, measure and control, and continuous improvement. These aren't just optional add-ons, okay? They are the structural requirements built right into the pack to ensure active, continuous control of both human and AI processes.
So we've got our map and we've got our rulebook. Let's put them head-to-head in Part 4, a tale of two architectures.
What's super interesting here is that both of these systems rely on a rule of three, a triad. On the knowledge graph side, it's that static factual map, subject, predicate, object. But on the IPE Pack side, it features its own triad, key input variables, key process variables, and key output variables. Industry folks often call these KIVs, KPVs, and KOVs. Think of it kind of like baking. The inputs are your ingredients, the process is your oven temperature, and the output is that perfect cake. This strict living causal chain tells us exactly what inputs drive what controllable parameters to produce specific measured outputs. It's practically tailor-made for AI to ingest, monitor, and act upon safely. When you look at their fundamental structures side by side, it's actually pretty beautiful how they diverge. The knowledge graph's core structure uses nodes, edges, and labels to map static facts and relationships. Its orientation is entirely descriptive. It basically just tells you what is true. The IPE Pack, however, is structured sequentially by area, activity, and element. It maps living processes in motion, and its orientation is completely prescriptive. It dictates exactly what must be done and why doing it produces specific outcomes.
But here is the absolute most critical takeaway. They solve entirely different failure modes. Because the knowledge graph provides static snapshots for the AI to query and traverse, it gives incredibly accurate context, totally eliminating those crazy AI hallucinations. Meanwhile, the IPE Pack is built for active control and continuous improvement. The AI executes strictly within the governed boundaries of the pack. Therefore, it prevents something way worse: ungoverned, unmeasured, rogue AI action.
And that leads us perfectly to Part 5, the ultimate AI partnership. Let's talk synthesis and synergy, because these two architectures are absolutely not competitors.
They're essential partners, operating at different layers of your enterprise stack. Let's look at how they synthesize. First off, it might surprise you, but the knowledge graph actually feeds the development of the IPE Pack. When human process owners sit down to define their key input variables, a knowledge graph acts as the ultimate discovery infrastructure. By mapping all those entity relationships we talked about, the graph can easily surface hidden, connected variables across equipment, materials, or specs that a manual human analysis might just completely miss. The graph elegantly surfaces what is known.
But of course, that relationship flows both ways. The IPE Pack acts as the ultimate security guard, securely governing AI systems that are operating on the knowledge graph's outputs. If your AI just grabs factual information from a graph and acts on it without an IPE Pack in place, wow, you are taking an immediate, massive risk. Why? Because there's no defined process governing how that information should be acted upon, no measurement to see if the action actually worked, and absolutely no accountability. The pack is the required human-owned rulebook for action. When you put them together, boom, you close the enterprise AI gap. You get the contextual, relational intelligence of the knowledge graph, preventing hallucinations, securely wrapped in the defined, measured, and owned operational boundaries of the IPE Pack, preventing rogue actions. Honestly, neither one can close this gap alone, but combined, they create the complete, uncompromising foundation for responsible, high ROI AI deployment. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one big question to chew on. As you evaluate your own organization's AI readiness and process excellence, are you giving your AI a map of the world without a rulebook for how to act? Organizations deploying AI without structured process governance are taking massive, completely unquantified risks. So think about your own systems. Do you have both halves of the organizational AI brain in place? Consider how you can start building that ultimate partnership today.